Russia is at the stage of demise. But how does this demise look like? Well, it has many faces, and here's one of them. Do you balance your finances? I'm sure you do. We all do. We try to spend less than we earn. Maintaining a healthy economy is also an act of balancing. It actually is pretty easy. A country should earn more than it spends, and it should spend wisely, making lives of its citizens better. The government applies a wide range of public economic policies to balance the economy. And that's it. But that's in a normal, peaceful country. And Russia today is far from normal and certainly is not peaceful. It's waging an unjust war on its neighbor, Ukraine. It means that Russia's expenses have gone up tremendously. Hey, the war with Ukraine is costing lots of money. And being the most sanctioned country not in the world, but in the entire history of humankind, means Russian economy is shrinking, and Russia can't earn by what it does best anymore, by exporting its natural resources. So there's a disbalance in Russian economy, huge deficit, and it starts showing. And this is how the economical disbalance is showing itself now. Let's take a closer look. Civil infrastructure is the set of facilities and systems that serve a country and encompasses the services and facilities necessary for its economy, households, and businesses to function. Infrastructure is composed of public and private physical structures such as roads, railways, bridges, tunnels, airports, water supply, sewers, electrical plants and grids, heat pipelines, and telecommunications and things like that. All these structures have one thing in common. They are complex systems that require regular maintenance. They have to be checked and fixed and maintained regularly. Scheduled maintenances must be executed, and upgrades or complete reconstructions are also a must. Now, in Russia, all available resources are being used to produce death, weapons and ammo that are used to kill Ukrainians. The military-industrial complex is literally being flooded with taxpayers' money. On top of that, Russia must rebuild the new territories somehow, the land that it stole from Ukraine. Luhansk, Donetsk, Mariupol, other towns and villages. Russia destroyed everything there first, razed all cities, towns, villages, and now Russian government has vouched to rebuild everything. But do you understand the magnitude of such construction and the resources it would take? How to balance maintaining your existing old, worn-out infrastructure that was built in the USSR decades ago and simultaneously build new infrastructure in Ukraine? Plain and simple. You just can't do that. You must sacrifice something. And the sacrifice is, of course, the infrastructure in Russia. You stop doing regular maintenance because you just don't have the money. And you don't have the foreign-made spare parts. Remember the sanctions? And you don't even have any qualified maintenance men because You have mobilized and sent them to the front lines, and many of them are dead now, and this is already the spring. And the cataclysms, they keep on happening. Deep freeze is over, but now floodings have arrived. And of course, they have arrived unexpectedly. It all started in Orsk, in a city close to Kazakhstan border, in Orenburg province. It actually was starting out fairly innocent. The mayor of Orsk, Vasily Kozupitsa, inspected the dam that is supposed to protect Orsk from floodings and bragged that everything was perfect. He even made photos and posted them in his social media account. I quote, "In the evening, I examined the dam again. Together with Sergei Yeger, my deputy for municipal management, we checked the condition of the protective structure and access road to it." End quote. I don't know how others would call it. I call it a bad career move. 2 days later, this happened. And the city of Orsk started getting flooded.
Вот здесь вот видно, что воды по окнам, гаражи утоплены.
Ноги теперь вот на правую сторону ноги свешивайте, Вот сюда, да, поближе, попой вот сюда садитесь, вот так вот, да, аккуратненько, смотрите, аккуратненько. Встали? Стоите. Все, спускайтесь здесь. Спускайтесь. Хорошо. За трубу держитесь. И идите. Там одна рука. Тихо, рука. Давай. Вот сюда проходите, присаживайтесь вот здесь. Стекло прижимайтесь. Да.
Я же говорю,
Сарай подняло. Вот сарай. Все, сарая нет. Его поймала баня.
Так,
Now, how did it happen? Some Russians, not many, started asking the question, who is guilty? Whose fault? Well, let's find out. The dam was built in 2010, 14 years ago. By dam's life, it's fairly fresh, just teenage years. How much do you think that dam cost in 2010? $33.5 million. The length of the dam is 13.5 kilometers or 8.3 miles. Right after the disaster happened, Attorney General's office started criminal investigation and instantly found wrongdoings when the dam was built. To me, that's very suspicious. Why did they have to wait 14 years to release the information of the wrongdoings by the general contractor? As if they knew of the problem for a very long time, but didn't do anything. Corruption, anyone? But what exactly the wrongdoing was? For $33.5 million, that dam was constructed out of dirt. No hydro isolation whatsoever, no uprooting trees, nothing was done. The general contractor just cut the trees, didn't even pull their weeds and trunks out of the ground, and put dirt on top of and proudly called it dam. And this is Putin's Russia for you, costing so much that it could be made out of gold. But in reality, it's a pile of regular dirt. And where did the difference in money go to? Well, it's in Miami, obviously. Imagine what kind of nice luxury toys you can buy for stolen $20 million or so. Condos, yachts, cars. Whose imagination is running wild? But wait. First, let's give a chance to the general contractor to explain what happened. How was it possible for the catastrophe to happen?
Сергей Васильевич, а если гребень плотины выдержал, а ее стало подмывать снизу, причем ее стало подмывать, видимо, заранее, в чем здесь
вот
проблема? Плохо сыпали?
Вот это для меня тоже загадка. И остался только фактор грызуны, которые могли эту дамбу проточить. И этой 2-3 сантиметровой дырочки, отверстия норки, хватило бы, чтобы вода пошла.
Сергей Васильевич, вы меня, конечно, простите, пожалуйста. То есть мы строим за миллиард дамбу, которые грызуны прогрызли. Как это вообще возможно?
Rodents? Really? Notice the face expression of both TV hosts. You know, I've heard of many things in my life, but I haven't heard of rodents eating through dams before. This idea is hard to sell even to the TV host who has no clue about dam engineering and construction, but she applies some common sense. But wait, don't disregard that theory just yet. Rodents? You know, I did some thinking, and it seemed that a very, very long time ago, in a different world, I saw something that could explain why the dam was destroyed.
Of all the planets in the galaxy, they chose ours. They hide in small places. They light the dark.
Jay, any luck?
Just a minute.
There's nothing cute about them. They've come a long way, and they're hungry. Critters.
The Critters. Creatures from Out of Space from 1986. They got hungry and the dam seemed tasty, period. Well, I think that Russia's Attorney General office needs to at least consider this critters out of space theory too. At this point, it wouldn't surprise me if they announced critters from outer space the real cause of the problem. And it wouldn't even surprise me a bit if Russians actually would believe it. I mean, this idea wouldn't be too much crazier than the idea of Ukraine full of Nazis. And many Russians believe it. But hey, let's move on. What about the Russian government? What's its reaction? There's Russia FEMA equivalent, the Ministry of Emergency Situations. It's their responsibility now to restore order. And the Minister of Emergency Situations of Russia, Kurenkov, even flew to Orsk himself to personally check on things. Check out his brand spanking new plane and the new shiny uniforms of this ministry people. The first thing the minister said after arriving to Orsk, Kurenkov blamed the people.
А эвакуация была объявлена неделю назад. Люди не принимали решения, они думали, что это шутки какие-то. И шуток нет, вы сами видите, мы одного человека вот сейчас спасали около 30 минут.
The government is lying, of course. Many reporting there were no warning messages whatsoever. But at this point, would you expect anything else from the Russian government? They're claiming everything is under control. But this is what the locals are reporting. Marodering and no help from the authorities.
Майку бросили нас, поселок Первомайский бросили на произвол судьбы.
В поселке Первомайский затопило более 50 домов. И, как рассказывают местные жители, власти будто о них забыли.
Здравствуйте. Мой дом находится по улице Огородной, 29, первый этаж. Вот сейчас собираюсь пройти проверить обстановку в связи с участившимся мародерством в нашем районе. На данный момент стопроцентная информация, что вскрыли гараж моего друга, у знакомых проникали в квартиру, потому что выбиты окна.
Perhaps province's governor is helping somehow. Well, look at what the governor had to say when meeting people of Orsk in person.
Так, телефоны все убрали? Телефоны все убрали?
А как мы потом докажем, что нам такое...
Вот пресса есть. Вот у вас куча прессы, вон стоит.
А пресса вырежет.
Давайте мы пришли подавать. Вы не против, что я пришел?
Нет, вы не против.
Телефоны все убрали.
The first thing he demanded was to take everyone's phones away. Убрали телефоны. But of course there are exceptions, and some authorities are trying hard to help the residents. Their efforts are heroic. Look at this guy. The witness is reporting that he was doing exactly that all day. He was saving people from flooding, from water. Well, I don't know what he was doing really, but his rescue efforts are nothing short of heroic. You know, earlier I said that the cataclysms, they keep happening. No. We are seeing just the beginning of something really big. It's not the dam collapsed in Orsk. It's a symbol of Russia collapsing. Soon, we'll be seeing more of grand collapses of different kinds. We'll be seeing cataclysms all over the country. And this is what's happening right now in other places in Russia.
Вообще.
By the way, the news like this are constantly happening in Russia now. Dozens and dozens every day. And if you want to be kept updated, please sign up to become Inside Russia's patron. I carefully select 9 news a day that are important and matter, and along with commentary and analysis, make them available to patrons at patreon.com. The link is down below at the bottom. So, bridges collapse, apartment blocks collapse, and more to come. Because it is natural flow of things. If you stop repairs, if you stop maintenance, if you stop construction, and instead you invade your neighbor and start killing your neighbors, you will get a complete collapse of your country. How to stop this collapse? Well, that's very easy. All you have to do is to stop the war, bring the troops back, and start rebuilding both your country and your neighbor that you partially destroyed. But guess what? They'll be doing it on their own, without us, the smart, qualified, and educated millions of Russians who have fled the country. This is how we're living after fleeing Russia, after Russia. Please check it out right here. I'm documenting.